bless everyone and welcome everyone to Trenton Moves on WIMG 1300 AM, Trenton Talks Radio broadcast. We're sponsored weekly by WIMG 1300 AM on Tuesday at 7 p.m. So please tune in for our five-time award-winning gospel station, Music for the Soul on IMG. Our guest tonight, March 29th, 2023, is tonight at 6, Deandra Cameron, I tell you, policy manager in New Jersey Future, Lead Free New Jersey and Jersey Waterworks, Lead in Drinking Water, and Sherelle Snyder, East Trenton Collaborative, and community organizer with Lead Free New Jersey and the Jersey Waterworks, Lead in Drinking Water. So we're so happy to have our guests on tonight. And here we are. Hey guys, how you guys doing tonight? First of all, are you blessed?
Blessed and highly favored.
There we go. Blessed and highly favored. So
that.
We're going to get this conversation started. We had a great conversation, in preparation last week, just kind of talking through some important topics around lead in drinking water, soil, and also paint, right? So we're going to get into three topics, three areas tonight for our listening audience, both on TV as well as on radio. One is a policy conversation. One is a community conversation. The other on the impact on health. And so we'll get started in those three categories. And I'm so thankful to Deandra Cameron and Sherelle Snyder for being a part of our broadcast and spend their precious time to come and spend time with our community and with our radio listeners on WIMG 1300 AM Verizon Channel 28 WPHY. And so first of all, we're here talking about our policy conversation with Deandra. Sherelle is going to be chiming in as well. Of course, Deandra is our policy person doing great work in that area. So talk about policy and finance, health, education, community awareness, remediation, kind of a part of our show here, but focused on, first of all, around our policy conversation. Deandra?
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here and to be talking to the community. So I work as a policy manager through the Lead in Drinking Water Task Force at Jersey Waterworks and through Lead Free New Jersey, which is a statewide campaign for lead in paint, water, and soil. So I cover a wide range of policy in my work. Most of it is focused on lead in drinking water, but also work through the campaign on lead in paint and soil policy. And I work on state policy. However, everything from the local policy informs at the state level, and everything at the state level informs the federal level. So one of the biggest areas around policy right now is funding. When it comes to lead in paint and lead in drinking water, we think about old infrastructure, and one of the biggest issues is not having enough money. New Jersey being one of the oldest states in America, as well as Trenton being one of the oldest cities in America, means we have older homes and we have a lot of aging water infrastructure. So when I say aging water infrastructure, I mean a lot of homes that still have old lead service lines and a lot of homes that haven't been remediated by lead paint. So when you think about the legislature and you think about the federal government at EPA handing out money to the states and city council handing out money to the city, we think about sort of what is the burden and why do some cities need more funding than others, and why some cities haven't been paid attention to that much. Because lead in paint, soil, and water has so much to do with aging infrastructure. One of the things at the federal level that haven't been a part of the conversation is thinking about age of housing when sharing out infrastructure dollars. So you may have heard about the Biden infrastructure law and a lot of money coming down to the BIL through EPA. One of the issues that we've had as a state in New Jersey is that they haven't considered age of housing as part of the formula. So they look at population size, they look at need, they look at different characteristics of the state, but they didn't think about how old the state is. So one of my policy focus areas is letting our New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection's understand and know about the problems with that formula so that they can report up at the federal level that New Jersey is old, Trenton is old. You have to factor that into the money that you're giving us. And a few other things that I focus on are childcare facilities and schools. So one of the big things that, one of the big policy areas that for children under 6, especially if they're formula fed, lead in drinking water is terribly bad. So one of the policies that I focus on is making sure that our childcare facilities are up to date with testing, but not only that, that they have filters in. You may have heard about this 10-year lead replacement law. If it's going to take 10 years for us to take out all the lead lines, then we have to have that intermediate step to protect our babies. So one of the policies that I focus on is informing landlords, especially those that rent to childcare facilities, that they have filters where maybe they don't know if they have a lead line or not, but that they have their filters. The other policy initiatives that I work on is initiatives around tenants. So if you own a home, you're getting communication from the water company, you know everything about your house, you know if it's painted with lead or not. But if you're a renter, sometimes you don't get that information. You sign the lease and maybe that's all you know about the property. So some of my policy work is surrounded on making sure that tenants have the same rights that homeowners have to know if they have a lead line or not, and to know if they have lead paint or not. So I work on lead paint disclosure in your lease, as well as lead in drinking water disclosure in your lease. Still working on those bills. Hopefully they pass. And if they do, the next time you sign your lease, if your landlord knows if you have a lead service line or not, they'll put that on your lease. So that's all I have for now. Back to you, Gerald. I don't want to take up too much time.
You're doing really, really well. I tell you, this is good information. Lead in drinking water, soil and paint. The other part of the work that we talked about was around community, right? So I know we have Sherelle Snyder here along with us, your partner in this fight and in this focus all around lead and drinking water and paint and soil. And we want to talk about the community conversation that we must have with our grassroots community awareness, testing, and advocacy. So, Cheryl, can you share with us the work that's happening in that area around the community conversation and how we must get out door to door and different types of methods of communicating and advocating for the residents of our communities? Cheryl?
Oh, of course. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. DeAndre, I can listen to you all day. Policy and what's happening with lead, we need these laws and we need to enforce them. So in our community, I'm Sherelle Snyder, East Trenton Collaborative community organizer in the East Trenton neighborhood, which is the North Ward, where I organize and I live. So if you know the East Trenton neighborhood, you know it's Trenton itself is old, but in the East Trenton neighborhood, there was a lot of industry. And with this industry near the Assapeque Creek, Hetsu Park, there's old infrastructure. The buildings, the property around the East Trenton neighborhood is very old. And because it's so old, most of the homes still have lead paint inside them. These landlords, they rent and they keep the rent low, but there's fixings and things that need to happen so children can live safely in these homes. So the East Trenton Collaborative, we've partnered with other organizations. The East Trenton Collaborative is now a lead-free hub. So if you want to know anything about what's going on with lead in your community, you can always come to the East Trenton Collaborative. There's 3 lead-free hubs right now in the state of New Jersey. There's Trenton, which is the East Trenton Collaborative. There's Patterson. I believe that's Habitat. Deandra, correct me if I'm wrong. Also in Newark, we have a lead-free hub there, Newark Water Coalition. So a lot of the residents don't know that in 2023, we still have a lead issue. Of residents in every low income neighborhood across the country are being poisoned by this neurotoxin. You don't think anything is wrong because it's not a physical effect. It's more in your behavior with our children. It's more in your attitude, your learning. So the East Trenton Collaborative, what we aim to do, what we strive to do, is get knowledge into the residents' hands. So, I think Maya Angelou, when you know better, you do better. So we started out with a big bang. I believe it was in 2022, April 2022, where we had a big party at Trenton Waterworks. It was the lead-free launch. We were able to give out filter pitchers, so people don't have to buy water all the time. They do have other ways to get clean water from your faucet. You can use filters, or you can buy a pitcher and it comes with filters, and you can use the tap water, put it in your refrigerator, and you pour nice clean water. So the East Trenton Collaborative has been going door to door. We got to start again with information in a pamphlet to residents, letting them know that you can get your home inspected. Aisles will come out and give your home a lead assessment and let you know if you're around lead or not, if you've been exposed to lead paint. So that's one exposure. So you don't want lead paint in your home because lead paint tends to crumble, especially around windowsills, and then it turns into dust and it gets on the floors. And this is where lead gets into a lot of our children, because they're learning how to crawl and they're getting this on their fingers, and if they suck their thumb, so they're ingesting it as well as inhaling it, and their little bodies can't take but so much. So paint is one way we're bringing awareness of how our children are exposed. Another way is the soil. Wow. There are high lead levels in our soil right here in Trenton. Maybe in the East Trenton neighborhood, the levels of soil, lead in the soil may be even higher. So you got paint. We are letting the residents know about the soil. And was there paint, lead, soil, dust? Yes. Then we want residents to make sure that the children do see a pediatrician, because we need to have our children lead levels tested. So we concentrate on, there you go. You got the soil, the paint, water. So it's not so much the water is bad. We're letting, because it's old infrastructure here in Trenton, it's the pipes that the water is coming through that's actually, the pipes are bad. So if you have lead pipes or if you have galvanized pipes, those two, they call them lead service lines because they service your water. And if your pipes in your home is really old and you haven't checked them, so now your pipes start to rust. And once they rust, lead seeps into your water. You turn on the faucet and you drink it, and you're ingesting lead particles, which is no good because lead in our body we don't need. So what we're doing is we're partnering, like right now, we're with Gerald Trueheart and WIMG because we need to get the word out to everyone, all community members. We need to ramp up testing in our children for elevated lead levels. We need to do something about the housing stock because it's so old and we have our babies living in these homes. And once we start doing more testing and we let residents know they don't have to live like this, there are things that they can do. And Deandra, oh my goodness, So we got to work with the community, but we also got to work with the legislators. You know, they can make these systems in place that's going to help us get rid of the lead. So I'm going to stop there. And Gerald, do you have any questions?
Well, I think it's important that we make the connection between policy and community awareness and outreach and advocacy, and how those two connect with sharing the information with our community, with our stakeholders, with our schools, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, with our homeowners, with our tenants, our landowners, our homeowners, those who own the properties, our tenants who are renting from the landowners. But the important thing, I believe, and you've been talking about this work, is awareness and communication and door to door. And also that policy piece is so important, because that's driving legislature, that's driving government policy, that's driving finance and government dollars to come into the communities in the cities like Trenton to provide the necessary resources that are needed to remediate, to advocate, to test,
Yes.
to provide what you talked about, Sherelle, these filters, whether it be on the tap where it comes out, or these buckets you hold, not buckets, but pitchers that you hold with the filters on it, because folks are buying bottled water now. If you notice in the stores, bottled water, you go in the stores nowadays and you can't even find bottle. You find it, but the shelves are empty because folks are buying so much of bottled water, and that's impacting the environment as well. That's a whole nother conversation, but that's impacting the environment as well. So if you guys could share, Sherelle and Deandra, about the connection between the policy and the community engagement part. We'll start with you, Deandra.
I'll jump in. So I'll go back to Newark, because Newark is painted as like a model because they replaced their lead service lines in rapid time. And there's two key things with Newark that I want to mention, with the policy piece and the community engagement. So right from the beginning, it was the community that pushed that something be done with the lead service lines in the city. So there were a lot of community organizing. Newark Water Coalition, which Sherelle mentioned as one of the 3 hubs at Lead Free New Jersey, was one of the first community groups that pushed the city of Newark and the water system to get the lead service line issue under control. And so that's one big area. So even in Trenton, where the lead service line replacement is stalled in phase 3 because there is inadequate funding, it's up to the community to push, because some of your neighbors across the city have their lead lines out, but some of your neighbors don't, because we don't have enough funding. And so we need to apply that pressure at all levels of government. I work with the state legislator, but I need residents to go out to city council. So that's one thing that we need to make the connection, is that we have to push. The other thing that I want to draw a connection to, one of the reasons why Newark was able to get their lead service lines out so fast, they passed a local ordinance. So if you think about being a renter, if you're a renter, sometimes your landlord would say you can't even put a nail in the wall, like you can't touch anything. So if you're a renter, you definitely can't let the water system in to take out any pipes and put anything in. So one thing that helped Newark get their service lines out so fast is that they passed a local ordinance at city council that allowed the renter to give access to the system to get into the house and do that replacement. And so that's one thing at the city level, that residents need to go to city council and say, how can we get something like that in Trenton, so that as a renter, if my landlord lives out of state or across town, I don't have to wait on him to come open the door to let the utility in. If I can do that myself. It has been done before, and it can be done. And actually, in the lead service line replacement law, it does say that water systems can institute a local ordinance to help get that under control. So that's one big connection. The other big piece that I want to mention, I'll be brief. What we're realizing is that first, some systems cannot afford to replace the lead service lines for free, but there are some systems that are doing it for free. And the problem that they're having is not that it doesn't cost the resident anything. Problem they're having is getting the resident to sign up for something that's free. So when you talk about the door knocking, that's where that's really important. So the water systems have a pot of money, some of them do, and their programs are free, but they can't get residents to sign up. This is where water systems need to partner with their local community organization, someone like a ETC, East Trenton Collaborative, to do that door knocking. You might wonder, if something is free, why aren't people signing up? It has to do with community trust. There has been things over time in low-income communities and communities of color where there's just mistrust of the government, mistrust of water systems. And so sometimes if you go to them and say, we're doing this for free, they may not buy it. That's the reality of some of the injustices that have occurred in our EJ communities. Sometimes when the government or the water system steps in to do the work, they may not be readily available to do it. And so if a water system person goes in, they may not want to hear it. But if Sherelle goes and knock on their door because they see Sherelle every day in the community, they might just listen to her, and that's what bridges the gap. So there's a lack of funding, but also where there is funding, there's also another issue of we need more community organizers to partner with systems to do that door knocking, do that neighbor education, say, yes, it's free, it's really free, because they hear it differently coming from the community organizers and those that they see and trust in their communities. So that's just sort of like some of the connections between state policy saying you can do this, applying funding to do it, and then maybe it's free, but then we're stuck at the community level because it's like, we're not really sure and there's mistrust. And so we need the community organizers at the very beginning to push for change to happen. But when that change happens in law and policy, the implementation side of it, we still need the community to get on board. So I'll just turn it over to Sherelle to add her.
Yeah. So
you got a big job, Sherelle.
Well, all of us do. Gerald, you do too, because you have a platform to get the word out. And I'm happy tonight that me and Deandra are here to help, because if we can get rid of a toxin in our community that's destroying our children, we need to do everything we need to do. This is a war on lead. So a drug, if can decrease your IQ, it needs to go. So with the water, Trenton Water Works, if anybody's seen it, they've been seeing a lot of people in the street to change the lead service line. So they were changing, they're doing it in phases. Right now, they just stopped at phase 2. Phase 1, they got out there, they changed the ones in the street. They didn't have, the city gave them permission. Those are public lines, though, the main. But if you wanted your line changed in your home, they do it from your curb, and they go into your basement to your water meter, and that's your LS lead service line, LSL, and that can be replaced. They were coming to do this at people's homes, and I've seen residents like, no, I'm not letting you in my house. And like Deandra said, what are you talking about? You're not letting them? Let them, they're trying to do something good. Let them come in and do it. But also, they were also charging the residents $1,000 to do this work. It wouldn't have been charged right away, but in increments. But with the East Trenton Collaborative, our community center in the neighborhood, we were able to change a lot of the residents, get a lot of the residents' lines changed with no cost to them. And we were having a lot of issues with our council back then. There was a pushback. So we need our city working together with our community and our county. Some of the residents and myself, we would have on our Get the Lead Out t-shirts. We go up to Mercer County. We got in front of the commissioners, and we asked for the commissioners to use some of the ARP funding to help Trenton get that lead service lines out, so mommies and children don't have to go to a water faucet and get water that may be contaminated with high lead levels, and you're taking the risk. So, oh yeah, we're gonna help you, Sherelle. We want to help. There's all this money coming down with ARP funding. So we would get pushback. Oh, well, we're sorry, we can't help. Go tell your city to help. You go to the city, we ask them, oh, well, Sherelle, we don't have the money, but hopefully now we have a new council. So maybe this is how the community has to do its job.
Have you seen it? Have you seen, you mentioned council, and I know they're in their honeymoon stage right now, but have you been able to see a change in their conversation around this work that you're talking about, that you guys are working on in terms of lead, water, and soil? Has there been a conversation with council as well as with city council, with city leadership, with the mayor's office?
The mayor's inaugural speech, Gerald, mentioned an intent to make sure we have lead-free homes and clean drinking water. And so we're going to be following up on that. You said it. We were there. A lot of people were there. And so that for us who do this lead work is a big step. Just the public commitment, because that tells us that we can step in and offer our support where that needs to be. And so we have, because we work with another hub whose city has already completed that, we want all our hubs to have that complete transition. So we've worked with the mayor that's already taken the city through that. And what we're hoping is that by that commitment in the inaugural speech, that carries through through city council and through their work. But that was a bold step for us being in the audience and hearing that. That is something that we're looking forward to.
Yeah, so, I saw Sherelle smiling and cheering when the mayor mentioned about the lead, water, soil, and this commitment to the city and the residents of the city to usher that change. And I'm sure the city council will be behind that community engagement work that Sherelle is doing, the policy work that you're doing. And if you already have a blueprint from a city that's already ushered in the change or ushered in the implementation to make this happen, then we have a blueprint that we can share or already have shared with our mayor of City of Trenton, Mayor Reed Gutierrez, to begin the work or to continue the work that he's already begun from his inauguration and perhaps even before that. I know there's been a lot of work happening in the city around lead water piping and installation and replacement. So the work has started, but now it's time to galvanize the community. It's time to galvanize and collaborate with the other policymakers and bring it all together to make in the city council to make this happen.
Gerald, the state of New Jersey, along with PA, Wisconsin, and Connecticut, was selected for a lead service line accelerator program by the EPA. So in doing that, they've put New Jersey on the map as one of the 4 states that they want to do rapid, accelerated lead service line replacements. And they want to target across those 4 states, they want to do about 40 cities. Their goal is to do 40 cities because of the Justice 40 initiative, which is a federal commitment that 40% of dollars that are being spent for anything should go to our EJ communities. And so Trenton is the hot spot for an EJ community, with New Jersey being a part of this accelerated program. New Jersey Future being a partner with the White House on that, which I'm the representative for that. Living and working in Trenton, there is no way that we are not going to be one of the next cities that are going to have lead-free drinking water. So we are excited, and I'm hopeful about that. And I want to show my face around town. So
DeAndre, I want people to know that if they go to your Facebook page and they go to your work that you're doing with New Jersey Future, and they click and search, they'll see your work at the White House. I saw it myself and how you were there with the commissioners of New Jersey and other commissioners, EPA folks, of course, the president and others, Congress, and senators, and the work that you're ushering in. And this is just the beginning of the work. I'm sure you've been doing this work for some time now, and is it coming to fruition? Are you enthusiastic? Are you confident that you're seeing a positive change and a positive shift in the cities and in the work that's being done and in the flow of the funding?
Very confident. So, funny story, when we went for the inaugural meeting at the White House, we were stuck outside for 2 hours, White House protocol, couldn't get in. Name wasn't on the list yet till a certain time. But what that allowed us to do is, among the 4 states that were involved, talk about where our states, where we are in the lead service line replacement. And because New Jersey is one of the only states that has that 10-year replacement law, that puts us at the forefront of these other 4 states that are in the partnership. And because Newark is the only city in New Jersey and in the US that did the rapid replacement, that also puts us as the only state with the only city that's done rapid replacement. So they are looking to us as sort of the forerunner. What that does is sets us into motion to continue being that forerunner. We are not going to let them, outrun us. And so we are keeping the mantle moving, but everyone is sort of impressed, that we're there, we're on the map, we're one of the 4 states, that Newark is getting a spotlight. Everyone wants to know who the next city is going to be. I want it to be Trenton. So I'm very hopeful that we're going to have that. So very excited.
All right. Sherelle, what's happening? I mean, you heard a lot there, and that's a lot of great information about progress being made. Are you seeing dollars coming into East Trenton Collaborative? Are you seeing the funding you need to get the work done in community engagement and knocking on doors? It does take dollars and cents to get that work done. You can't do it all volunteer. Are you seeing the money you need to get the work done, or do you need the community to push more into? I know we need the community to push for the policy and education advocacy, but about the money part of it too. What's happening in that area?
We always need more money.
Always. Thanks to New Jersey Future, that avenue through them, it works, and it's coming in because of the funding that's coming in through New Jersey Future for this work. Remember, you can go to not New Jersey Future, excuse me. I always get these two confused. So Let Free New Jersey, forgive me, you can go on their site, letfreenj.org. They're helping to get the funding that we need to do this work. With some of the funding that's coming into East Trenton Collaborative, we're working on communication. So I like anybody, and if they go through North Clinton and Lincoln Avenue, right there by, if anybody knows Jerusalem Baptist Church, you'll see a big billboard, get the lead out of Trenton. So, and there's a QR code on the billboard. If you can put your phone to the QR code, it'll take you to the East Trenton Collaborative and give you more information on lead awareness and where you can go to, possibly if you're uninsured, undocumented, and you don't know which hospital to use, where you can go. It lets you know. We have an awareness. You can most likely go to Henry J. Austin. Henry J. Austin is a great resource that we have here in the city of Trenton. Capital Health as well. And if you need someone to possibly come in and check, there's a lot of resources that ISLES has. So ETC may not have all the resources that it needs, but there are other organizations out here that we have right here in Trenton that can help. And I also want to say, we want to make this big. There's only 3 community hubs right now. So if you know any small grassroots community centers or organizations in the South Jersey, get in contact with leadfreenewjersey.org. We're looking to expand another hub, and Lead Free New Jersey will help with a startup. And so if you know anyone in South Jersey that wants to come aboard and get involved with this work, we're looking for another hub in South Jersey. We need more money coming in. We need the city to do what it needs to do. We need them to get on the bandwagon to get systems in place where they need to happen. Phase 1 started with the lead service lines. Phase 2 happened with the lead service line, but check this out. There's still lead service lines out there, and we need to get them replaced. So we need the community to step up now, speak up, and ask, when are we going to start phase 3 of the lead service line replacement? And when can you come out and check? Trenton Waterworks will come out and check your lines. So we need the community to step up. We need the city to step up to make it happen again, because right now it's not happening, Gerald. There's no service lines being changed right now. And we got to step that back up. And they'll take their time unless the community puts a fire to them and say, make this happen.
Apply pressure.
Apply pressure.
I wanted to spotlight the work that Sherelle and a few other volunteers did last year in the legislature as well. So one of the things that our legislators, our assemblywomen and senators like to see is residents from the community, their constituents inside the state house saying, I live here, this is affecting people I know, please put the money towards this. And last year, Lead Free New Jersey organized a $600 million ask from the New Jersey legislature, 300 for water and 300 for paint. And so Sherelle was in the State House for the first time speaking to the senators and legislators. All you have to say is 300 for water, 300 for paint. Advocacy is really easy, and they love, listen, when I go in there and I walk in from New Jersey Future, they know I'm lobbying. They know it's my job. But if you are a resident and you live here and you took time out of your day to come to the legislature, to speak to them, to say, I live in this community, this is what I see, the paint is peeling, I don't know if I have a lead service line or not. They love to hear from you because they work and they are for the people. And so sometimes it's good to hear from the people that way. So volunteer with East Trenton Collaborative or Lead Free New Jersey, and we have those opportunities for you to even see how policy work and go to the State House and do those during budget season. Out of that $300 million ask, we got 170 for paint. And some of that money is going out to organizations like ISLE. So it's trickling down, and those are the organizations that East Trenton Collaborative also partners with. So even when you talk about funding, Gerald, even if the East Trenton Collaborative isn't getting the money themselves, the lobbying work that they do is getting some of the partners that they work with that funding, and they still partner at the end of the day. So it's good to sort of like have that community push, but also we're the faces of these where we work. And so sometimes people see us and they know what we're about to say, but if they see a new face and you're saying the same thing we're saying, it's just not coming from us, that goes a long way sometimes. And it's good to make that connection between the policy, knowing your constituents. I mean, at the end of the day, they want your votes to go into office, right? So you might as well at least one day a year go in there and ask them to do something. You could just ask them, we want clean drinking water, we want lead-free housing. And that's our right as residents and constituents anyway. And what better way to spend your time than advocating for something that goes directly into your body? So just wanted to put us on the map as a resource to get you into the State House, to talk to legislators that you need, but also that exposure to the policy and to your right as a resident.
Amen. See, our community, we need you to advocate. We need you to get involved, to volunteer. East Trenton Collaborative, ISLE, other organizations. We need your voices at the State House. We need your voices down at City Hall, in front of City Council. in front of the mayor's office and really advocating for the work that the mayor has committed to from his inauguration speech. And even before that, he had committed to the work of clean drinking water in the city of Trenton and across state New Jersey. But here is a testimony to the work that both Deandra as well as Sherelle are doing in our community. And we need more Sherelles. We need more Deandras. We need more of us to do the work and come together as a community and not necessarily put pressure, but bring awareness and advocacy to the conversation with the legislatures, with city council, with mayor's offices, those who are making the decisions about allocation of resources, about allocation of land use, about a host of variables that we have to be concerned with: lead water pipe replacement, remediation, testing. I mean, there's a host of things that these two wonderful women talked about this evening that are important not only to us, but are important to our health. So for the next 4 or 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes or so, probably about 4 or 5 minutes, you don't have much time left, but I want to talk about a third part of this conversation around health consequences or health issues related to, we kind of spoke about it a little bit, but health issues related to lead in water and the impact on the health of folks. I mean, health concerns, learning disabilities, high blood pressure, stroke, neurological issues, and other issues, educational issues in young children. So could we speak to that a little bit more in the last segment of our broadcast today?
Take it away, Sherelle.
I get too passionate. I get real passionate about this part because in Trenton, we're in Mercer County, but it seems like Trenton has the most issues with our children, with their behavior, with their learning. And everybody says, oh, it's the home life, it's the parenting. Oh, they just don't have any morals, they don't have any values. But so everybody's checking out the child, but nobody's checking the environment that the child is growing up in, the exposures that he's having to all these neurotoxins that could be affecting him and making him act that way. We don't hear a lot of this about the children in Lawrence. We don't hear a lot of this about the children in Ewing, in Hamilton, but we're hearing it about our children in Trenton, one of the oldest infrastructures here in Jersey, but nobody's fixing their exposure. You fix their exposure, I believe you can help our children live better lives, not only our children. So lead, it's a chronic exposure. You can have an acute exposure. An acute exposure, you know something's wrong. You're throwing up, maybe you're having seizures. You're going to the hospital. They can probably see that. But a chronic exposure, this is in increments. It happens a little bit at a time. You don't even notice the changes are happening. It's happening so subtle. So maybe you go through school, you don't have any behavioral issues, you don't have any reading problems, you get through. But that doesn't say that you weren't exposed to lead. Lead is tricky. Lead likes to go the same places calcium likes to go, and it likes to go into the bones. So it can get there and it'll stay there for years. Then you get like 50, you start going through changes of life, especially women. And this is a fact. Women post-menopause are known to have high lead levels because what's happening is lead is tricky. It starts leaching out of the bones back into your bloodstream. And it didn't give you problems as a child, but now as an adult, you just think it's you. Oh, I just got a little aches and pains. Nobody's checking lead. Nobody's checking these levels. CDC says that children can live. They always do the children because you want to go where the exposure happens first, where it starts. And it's usually as a child. 5 micrograms. It might even be lower now. 5 micrograms per deciliter is okay in your body, where usually you don't supposed to have any lead in your blood. Okay. But they're finding out poor children with like 30 micrograms per deciliter of blood. That is high. That is very high. And so now it deposits. It doesn't always stay in your blood because your kidneys help to work any toxins out, but it can live in organs. It can live in liver. It can live in kidneys. It can live in your bones. And as it starts to leach out, the aches and the pains, and it crosses blood-brain barriers. I mean, it can mess with our loved ones are winding up with dementia. A lot of people are going with dementia, but nobody checks if their blood levels may be elevated, because as you get older, it's been seeping there for so long. Now it starts coming out of your bones, back into your bloodstream, and it starts sending all these mixed messages because it messes with your, forgive me because I'm not a doctor and I don't want to get all the words wrong, but stroke, it has an effect on your kidneys, and it sends wrong messages to your kidneys. It makes you think you have high blood pressure. So a lot of young people in my area alone, but I can't make the correlation. I think we need help. A lot of people are having stroke at young ages. So our children are being affected. So many healthy years of life are lost for something that could be eradicated. It doesn't have to be like this. We have people dying in 50s, going through strokes in their 40s and things like that, where healthy life is lost to this neurotoxin that doesn't have to be. All we need to do is, like I say, get the lead out of Trenton, our water, our homes, and our soil, and we'll be all right.
Thank you so much, Sherelle,
Yeah.
and Snyder, and Deandra Cameron, new policy manager, New Jersey Future, Sherelle Snyder, East Trenton Collaborative, community organizer. I thank you both for being here. You know, we have to continue this conversation of advocacy and awareness and community engagement around the work that you both are doing, and others in the great city of Trenton, New Jersey, around the state of New Jersey as well, in these hubs. So we plan to come back to our community on another broadcast, share more information, and keep it on the forefront of people's minds so they can be aware and begin to trust again. And Sherelle, I'm sure you in the community, going door to door, and others door to door in the community as well, will provide that bridge to a trusting relationship, so that when folks do come in to do the work of replacing lines or providing information, they will be receptive to that. And that goes a long way in opening the barrier to getting the work done in the homes and bring awareness to folks so they can be aware of the dangers of lead in water, soil, and paint. So I appreciate both of you for being on a broadcast tonight. WIMG 1300 AM, music for the soul, 5 times still award-winning gospel station. Tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. You'll catch us on the radio, or you can get us even on the internet, www.1300am.com. Join in. Just type in WIMG on your search engine. It'll come right up. Listen to our broadcast. Listen to us always. And we're on all the time. So we appreciate you guys being here, talking about lead in water, soil, and paint, and the work that you guys are doing in New Jersey Future. Our policy manager, Deandra Cameron, and as well as Sherelle Snyder. Amen. And so thank you so much. So you've been tuning in to WIMG 1300 AM. God bless you and have a great night. God bless you. We'll see you next time, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you.